Okay, there you are. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay. I don't even know where I was at.
Hold on. You went over how he would complain and beg not to go or to
Oh,
leave.
yeah. Yeah, he would do that. That was for months. And then finally, they were saying that him visiting
Oh
with
yeah,
Cassandra.
you lost your rights to see him.
Yeah, I lost my rights. Well, yeah, they took me that I couldn't have my own personal visits with him, but I could supervise Cassandra's. Check that out. So here I am supervising her visits. So then when they had taken London after she ran away, and then, this is even weirder, but anyways, they took her and they placed her with the grandmother of her father, same father, sperm donor there, went to his mother. She couldn't even handle London for 24 hours. She ended up dropping her off at SRS. And the reason why I couldn't get Alexander was because of my past shit. Go figure. So, which was ironic because we were at a group meeting, and when I had come out, the caseworker that started all of this was like, "Oh, Danette, you can appeal that thing that you have." I didn't even know I was on a registry for over 20 something years. I work with kids. I work with kids with mental health, all that. I went to go into a rehab to get a job working with teenagers in rehab. And I get told that they couldn't hire me because I'm on some registry. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I worked in LNA. I worked in old age homes, everything. Oh, you're on a registry in Vermont. So I'm like, what the hell is this? So the investigator that started all this says, oh, well, you can appeal that and I can help you with that. And I looked at her because I wanted Alexander. Nobody knew how to take care of him except for me and Cassandra. And I was like, oh, okay, so how's that going to happen? She's like, well, you just fill out this paper and you need anything? Okay. So I did. And watch out, people, because once you're found the next one, you go on a registry. So I went and I filled out the paper. They set me up in an appointment. So I went there and I was honest. I brought my boyfriend, who I've been with for 9 years, and my son. And I had letters from all these people that I had worked with and have known me. So the lady's asking me if I did cocaine. I'm looking at her. I'm like, what does this have anything to do with the allegations? I said, I did my time. I said, I got my kids back. I said, what am I sitting here for? And she's asking, and this is an old lady doing the interview. She's asking my boyfriend and my son the same questions. And they're just shaking their heads like, what is wrong with this lady? So, of course, what happens? I got denied. So I learned my lesson, people, because hire a lawyer, and then you can go and get your name off the registry. Yeah, tip number 1.
Wow.
I'm working on now. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I just said wow.
Oh, yeah, they do that. So just to let you know, if you lose your kids, you're on a registry. So you need to do that, and your best luck is to get a lawyer. They didn't even have any records. They had no records of anything. I went through their parent program through them, and they're telling me that I didn't do that and that they don't have no paperwork for that. But you're going to sit there and accuse me of something when you don't even have it? Get a lawyer, people. Get a lawyer. So that's why I couldn't get them. But I can do supervised visits. I can drive them any.
That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly, right? Yep.
They trust you to be alone with him and to monitor a visit between him and his mom or whatever, but yet you can't have him.
I can't go for him for custody. And we tried, and the lawyers tried, and they were like, no, SRS was totally against it. And I have everything in written too, because initially when Alexander was born, they had problems, and we had to go through like this thing, and it was like for like an emergency thing that would ever happen. And I was on that list through SRS. They signed the papers. My name was on there, and I still have a copy of it. I saved everything. So I'm like, you guys are fools, whatever. So then they wanted to have supervised visits with another person. So my daughter, who ironically works for the state, that's another funny story. But anyways, she was like, "Oh yeah, we could, I can do them over here." Um, so I would pick up Alexander and Sandra, and we would drive down to my daughter's house. And so we all have supervised visits, and we did this for months. And it was like, what's going on here? Meanwhile, we're going back to court, and every time we went to court, there was a new judge, and the lawyers quit. She had 3 lawyers quit on her because Cassandra told one of them, and I had the letter too, and she was like, "You're not asking them the right questions. You're not, you're here to represent me.
Right.
You're not doing your job." And so she sent a letter and quit. She goes, "So I just sent all your files over to this new lawyer that's going." She went through so many lawyers that they were literally going 4 hours away to get the lawyers to come in to go to court for her. 4 hours away.
Wow.
They all worked together. They didn't want to stand up to DCF whatsoever. So when the London thing happened, we drove. We drove to Burlington. I looked him up, did a thing. Well, he used to be a defense attorney, and so we went there. And I said to him, he looked at everything, and when I say I walk into a lawyer's office, I walked in there with about 4 crates of paperwork, and I'm not lying.
I believe you.
So I said to him, right now we got this London case thing, which she was found not guilty of. I said, she wants her kid, and how are we going to do this? He goes, I can get your daughter back. So I paid him, went to court. He could not even believe the stuff that was happening. We went to court just for London, and he's sitting and nobody wanted to do anything. They were coming up with so many excuses, and he said, listen, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to walk in there, and I'm going to tell the judge all this stuff. He goes, just give her the kid back. Well, she got London back. So then I went back to the office again, and I sat down, and I said, did you read everything? And he said, my people are still going through paperwork. And I said, we need to get Alexander back, because his thing was we had to get London back before we could go out there for Alexander. And he looked at me and he goes, I can probably do it. And I said, thank the Lord. He goes, but it's going to be a pricey one. And I looked at him and I said, what do you got? For me to even start with Alexander, he told me I would have to have at least $60,000. And he was the only lawyer in this state that would touch that case. And I just looked at him and I said, I'm sorry, but my money tree in the backyard, the leaves are dwindling.
Yep.
And my daughter was just devastated. I took everything that I had, went to all this. My daughter was a mess. She couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep. All she thought about was Alexander. I mean, I literally had to pick her off the bed just to drag her into a kitchen to eat. That was her life.
Yeah.
London was her life, but unfortunately, London needed a lot of support at that time, and she still does. And what was even sicker was they placed Alexander the grandparents, the great-grandparents couldn't do it anymore, the money bags. So he ended up going with his father's mother, who had no knowledge of Alexander. We're telling him, you know, he needs to go to Shriners, he needs to do this, he needs to do that, and they're not doing anything. He's not getting his services. He's sitting in a wheelchair with an iPad. That was Alexander's life. So he went from this to nothing. When we got him, he was losing weight. The kid's lucky if he weighed 40 pounds. So every time we got him, I just feed him. And he would be like, Grammy, I need you cooking. I need to eat. And we would just feed him. And you could see the difference in him over a period of time. So anyways, he's with these people that have no love. You know, they didn't care about him when he was born. His sister. Meanwhile, now we got to do visits with London and his brother. Well, she doesn't like London, so you know when she had to go see her brother, they couldn't talk about me. They couldn't talk about their mother. They could not, and these kids were scared. They couldn't do anything. So London, who was very smart, she was telling us everything that was going on. She was like, yep, Alexander, they put him in bed. The kid never slept alone, ever. He was always in a room with us when he slept because you never knew, you know, he had oxygen problems and stuff. Yeah. So, you know, he never slept alone. She's sticking him in a bedroom, taking him upstairs, putting him in his bed, telling him to go to sleep. He asked me for a dream catcher because I'm Native American and I believe in all that stuff. He said, Grammy, can you give me a dream catcher? Because I don't want the bad dreams to come anymore. And I said, yep, I bought him the biggest dream catcher I could get. And I had it blessed, and I had it all that, and I gave it to him. She threw it out. What's that saying to a child? What's CPS saying to these children that they're taking and ripping out of their house when they have stability and stuff? Nothing. 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 We went on for this years. It got so bad that the last lawyer refused to do anything, and they wanted to do a TPR hearing. And Cassandra said, I can't do it. She goes, they're not taking my kid. And I'm like, honey, they've already done that. And there's nothing more I can do. I took every dime I had, every dime my boyfriend had. I mean, I would have sold my soul to the devil if I could. And I pretty much did. And I said, I can't do this anymore. And so she went to the TPR, and they had a brand new judge, just came in, said, nope, he's not going back.
Wow.
Not going back. Wrote a whole big thing, took 3 days. I don't even know why he bothered with 3 days. Came back. I read it, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. So this other guy out of Burlington had heard about the story. So he started working with Cassandra, and he even went to court with us several times. And he was a lawyer. He worked for the DA years ago, all that. And he said, I've never seen anything like this in my life, ever.
Yeah.
He goes, it's disgusting to me.
Yeah.
And he goes, did you know that you can sue the state?
Yep.
And I said, how's that going to happen? Nobody can sue SRS. I'd like to, but you can. And I don't know about other states, but in the state of Vermont, you can sue them for fraud.
Wow.
And actually, Cassandra's in the process doing that. And it will probably be the first one in the state. But in the meantime, she lost the TPR, and Alexander stayed with the grandparents, and within a week after the TPR, he was adopted by them.
Adopted by the grandparents?
Yep. They never notified anybody on my side of the family, my grandmother, myself, my son, my daughter,
How
nothing.
old is he right now?
He's going to be 11 in August 19th.
Wow.
So I had to leave, took all his stuff, everything, 5 storage units, and I ain't lying, 5 storage units of his whole life. And I'm still paying for it. Got it all there for him. I had to leave the state. I was so angry. Someone at my daughter, but it's so emotional because you just don't know. And you give it your all. And I understand how these parents feel. You know, these people don't realize that you just tore up a whole family. They wouldn't even let London see her brother after all this happened. She cannot see her brother only on Christmas time. What the hell is that? So this little girl who grew up with her brother, trying to protect him, you know, she's going to be 10. You know, that's her brother. And she can only see him on Christmas time. This is how sick these people really are. They are sick. Sick, 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 sick.
That is.
No, it's totally sick. You know, the kid had to go into counseling and stuff. And then she's like, you know, even to this day, she's going to be 10. And she's like, nobody loves me. Nobody wants me. She'd call her father. He wouldn't even pick up the phone. Who doesn't pick up a phone for your child?
There's quite a few parents out there that are like that, believe it or not.
Exactly. You're useless. Like, and I don't get it. I don't understand how they have their kids and these people that, you know, don't do anything, that are trying to do their best and fight for their rights, get treated like this. I mean, it's just devastating. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I'm going to tell you right now, you know, I was drinking. There's days where I just go into a thing where I got to crank up the music that we used to listen to, because music was a big thing with me and Alexander. Rob Thomas, woo-hoo, shout out. You know, because every song that he did, and it was weird because we were doing visits, and he ended up coming out with an album, The Unknown, and I would play that, and we would listen to it, and Alexander could, he understood everything that was coming out, you know, so like he'd get in the car, Rob Thomas, you know, and he'd pick out what song he wanted to hear, and to this day, you know, when I think of him and stuff, I have to crank the music, pop a beer. I'll be honest, you know, that's my thing, and everybody knows, stay out away from me. You know, it's affected my relationship with my other grandchildren. I got 2 grandchildren, you know, that I've had that I weren't there for. I've been to every birth except for these 2. And it's just like, it's like I don't want to get close because I don't want to lose them, even though I'm not. And my daughter, Brandy, um, she works for the state. And guess what she does?
Social work.
She works with the kids at DCF, takes when they're teenagers and throws them away into a group home in the state of Vermont. That's what my daughter does.
Wow.
And the horror stories she tells me, and I just spent 3 days with her. That's why I couldn't do this last week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Granny, do you understand now why we did what, you know, we fought? Because this is what happens to these kids. And she's like, it's no joke. And they're shutting down programs now in Vermont for these kids. She's like, I have a kid. DCF does not want to pay for them anymore. So they're shutting off the program that this kid needs. And my daughter's like, I'm not ready to quit. She goes, but I can't because I got to be there for these kids. She goes, they need a life. And, you know, she could have had, she went through the foster care thing with Alexander, and they told her that if she was to get Alexander, which the family fought with all their money, all their corruptness, they bought off the judges, they bought off the police officers, and I found this all after when I found out I hired a private detective, which is another thing people you should do. Hire a private detective. You'd be amazed at what you find. Um,
Yeah.
all that came to light after. And that's the sad part, is that it takes you after to go through all this to realize what you can do, what you should have done, but document everything. It got so bad that I literally, you didn't hear this from me, you can go up and you can buy these recording devices. They look like little crosses, little necklaces. I literally bought them and had them on the kids when they were going to school, when they were going to all their little meetings. A lot can be said. And they didn't like it when they found out that they had them. But guess what? Oh, well, you have that right.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, because you have to. These people will lie and lie and lie. I took these videos, the recordings, and showed them to the lawyer. And I said, do you think this is okay? And he was just like, I can't. He goes, this is like a mob movie. I go, yeah, the only problem is I got tired of that. But hello, this is Vermont.
Yeah.
This is what they do. Their per capita, the income for the state of Vermont is the correction facility and SRS. And every year, and this is even sicker, is that every year they take these kids' photos that are in foster care and that have not been adopted yet, and they blast their photos all throughout Burlington, Vermont. On the sidewalks, on buildings, they place their photos all over the city once a month. Now, you tell me how sick that is. That's pretty sick.
All of
But I
this.
had to move. I moved to Vegas. Was out there for 3 years. I had to get away. I had to. I couldn't deal with it anymore.
Yep.
I worked, buried myself. My kids, they even to this day, they're just like, I'd be okay. But I had to come back. So I came back to Vermont I'll be here a year. God help me. So I can honestly tell you, um, I ended up moving my daughter in London to Vegas because they were going after London again because they didn't like the ending in the court. And not only that, they were trying to get her in another state. I had
So
moved her in.
ridiculous. So
Yep.
it's so angry.
No, I moved her. I moved her to New Hampshire, which is over the border. SRS was calling New Hampshire, and so I got a call, and I ended up flying her out to Vegas, and she is hidden because now they've notified Vegas. I'm like, what do you got? What do you got? Nothing. Nothing.
Right, but
You already destroyed her. So how much? How much more can you destroy a person?
yeah, gosh.
You know?
I'm
So I
really
saw Alexander, by the way.
yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a good upside to this one. I know where they live. So there is hope out there for you people. And I really feel for Inez because you know what, Inez? At some point, you're going to see your kids. And I think at some point, a lot of parents are going to see their children. You just
Yep.
got to have hope and you got to pray.
Yep.
But I know where he is. So we drove by there the other day because I make it a point to drive by the house.
Yeah.
And I saw him. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so excited. And then we had to do another drive-by. I saw him again, but he's so skinny. Like his legs, I just went up. She blocked me, which she wasn't blocking me And just recently, she started blocking me. So I think she probably knows I'm in town. I don't know. Like I care. So, anyways, I go up on, yeah, because they lied when they adopted them. They said that they were married, but they're not. Go figure that one out. So I go up on his Facebook page, and he's got videos of them. So I copy all the pictures and the videos. Yeah, that's another thing you guys can do too. I
Wow.
mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I seen the video of him from this past weekend, and he just so skinny, and I was just like, you gotta be kidding me, because he doesn't get services anymore. They completely dropped all his services. Um, he doesn't go to Shriners. He doesn't get anything. And we had him standing up with his braces and stuff, and he can't even do that. I mean, it's just terrible to see them. But I have to tell myself every day is one day closer that I can actually go.
Yeah.
Because, it's a public town. And guess what? I have friends that have kids that go to school. Guess what? Oh, I'm sorry I ran into you, Alexander. It's going to be kind of one of those things. And Halloween. Halloween's my favorite thing. That
Yeah.
was his. And they always have the best Halloween right around their house. So guess what? Who's going this year?
You.
There's hope. No matter how bad you get to the bottom, you just gotta have hope. You know, don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
CPS is not your friend. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, they're not your friend. They're little posters and stuff.
Yeah.
That's fraud. They're not here. They don't have a babysitting club for you like they say they do. No. And the school is the worst because the school works with CPS and they are big time, you know, big time. And we had a lot of problems with that school. And that was another thing. They were getting special education money and it wasn't going for Alexander. And Cassandra just brought everything to light. And they don't like that. They don't. So sometimes you might just like tongue in cheek, but record everything and write everything down because eventually it's going to come out. They don't like the truth. That is one thing they don't like. And they do not like when you get them in front of a judge. But they're all inclined. They all work together. Every friggin' lawyer works together in a town, especially a small town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I can imagine what you went through.
Yeah.
I think we
Well,
all went through it.
yeah. I want to thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate you being brave and doing that and just meeting with me.
Oh yeah, I'm really glad. I think you're doing a great job. I've listened to all these other stories and stuff, and the patience you have for listening to it because it's not easy. It's not easy when you go through it and you got your kids back, and then you watch other people that just don't have a chance,
It's hard.
and it is. It's very hard,
It takes a
and it rips your
toll.
heart out.
It
It
does.
does.
Uh, I don't think I could ever get hardened to this. You know what I mean? It's sad. It's devastating. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I hope
Oh,
that you get to remain in his life and, we'll keep hoping too.
oh, I'll be in his life, honey. Don't you worry about that. And I'll
Good.
take a picture and send it to you guys.
Yes, sounds good.
I have so many pictures. I'm just like, oh God, where are they? No, just take. All I can say is take pictures and make memories,
Yep.
and because that's all you got. That's all I got. Every night I go to bed, I think it's something that we did together. You know,
I love that.
and it's so hard because it just runs in your head. When you guys asked me to do this, I couldn't sleep for 3 nights. 3 nights. Because I was just like, oh my God, because there was just so much that happened. And you
Yeah.
can't even explain it all in a couple
No,
hours. I'm really sorry if I bored y'all.
no, it's not boring at all. It's the reality and truth. And, it's hard.
It's, yep, you know, every day you get out of bed, and I know a lot of people go through depression and stuff. you just got to push yourself, and I have to. There's days where I don't even want to get out of bed, but you just got to. You got to put something on the refrigerator.
Yep.
Put that child's face on the refrigerator in your bathroom, on your mirror, because that is what you're living for,
You're right.
and it will happen.
Yep.
Just, I had to change my whole perspective of life. I deal with just one day at a time now for me. You
Yep.
know, it's one day and I'm doing good. I try to build on my relationship with my other grandkids. It's not like it was with Alexander, and it's not going to be. And I'm glad that my grandkids understand that, except for the
Right.
last two little ones. But, I love them all the same, just differently,
I get it.
you know, but, just keep the faith and copy everything down.
Yep.
That's
Well,
all
I'm sure it's getting late there, so I'm gonna disconnect all this